All right, mates, welcome back. Crypto Leverage Trading Group. Hope everybody's doing well. We've had a great weekend. Want to do a really quick update while I'm watching the Xfinity Martinsville race in Virginia for NASCAR. And I'm going to do a quick update because it's Sunday, and that's what I do on Sunday. And like I said, hope everybody's had a great week. All Cryptoballers, all Oracle disciples, everybody out in the cryptoverse. Massive news, really has been just coming out like daily. In the last 7 to 10 days, obviously influencing these markets, obviously influencing the on-chain metrics of these markets. And then we've also had some more information coming out from Coinbase for its direct listing coming up in the week ahead. That will be massive. But also we've had Coinbase racing, okay? Coinbase is listing new coins at a very rapid pace, probably the fastest pace they've ever done to keep up with Binance and Binance Smart Chain for sure. And so I've done a couple of videos. We've talked about it a lot in the group on the Coinbase Custody, what I call the Coinbase Oracle, okay? Using Coinbase Custody as a means of kind of gaining a little bit of insight on where the Coinbase market is going. In terms of what altcoins and what sectors within the cryptoverse that they are concentrating on for their institutional clients. This is huge. They're not going to put coins in Coinbase Custody that they have not done a full vetting on. Most crypto investors don't have the time, nor do they have the money to subscribe to all of the services that are out there that would do all that due diligence and research and then provide it to you. Okay, that's the reality. That would cost you thousands of dollars a month before you entered in a single leverage trade. Okay, we're trying to cut through some of that by providing a lot of on-chain metrics data for leverage traders without that massive expense that can come. And it can be anywhere from, $200 a week to $5,000 a month, depending on what service, and how in depth the information is that you're getting. But Coinbase has already done the due diligence in terms of the altcoin itself. Okay. And they're not going to offer their institutional clients any potential coin that has any foreseeable issues. Now, obviously, things like the XRP, you can't control that. You can't control who's going to get investigated by the SEC for some reason down the line, or you can't really control that. You're really just looking at the actual project itself, the potential of the project, the people behind the project, its tokenomics, its circulating supply, its market cap, how it's performed now. I mean, remember, this isn't 2013 anymore, okay? This is 2021. So some of these coins have years of history or a year of history. And they can track the interest, the community size, and all those things, which is unique. And so they're moving in that direction because Binance listed so many coins so quickly and began to challenge the dominance, really, use dominance anyway. I don't know about value or market dominance in terms of the amount of money held on Binance versus Coinbase. And what they're going to do in terms of where they're offering. If you go on there and you look at Coinbase Custody, if you're in our group, you can access that on the text channels and see a lot of the projects that they're offering their institutional clients. Now, 60-70% of these projects aren't offered on Coinbase Pro or Coinbase yet. Okay, but other than like the exceptions like Cardano, okay, and a few others, they almost always start on Coinbase Custody first through their research. And then they come to Coinbase for retail. Okay, we just saw it this last week. Okay, I did a video about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago on Engine Coin because I've watched it and it's been in Coinbase Custody. I felt like it was going to be one of the next coins to get listed on Coinbase. And sure enough, April listings came out and Engine and 1 inch or two of the coins that you just had to expect that were going to come to Coinbase from Coinbase Custody. I mean, 1 inch is a DEX, is hugely popular. It's growing. obviously they want to get to that. Now, I've commented on the Discord a few times. I think Live Peer is one that's potentially. Phantom is another one that's potential. Chili's coming up. All of these have to do with a video, a relationship to something I'm going to touch on in another video more in depthly on how the content focus. And if you think about that, like everywhere that you're going, if you're a leverage trader to get your information, they are providing you content, right? That content can be in the form of an email, can be in the form of social media post, Twitter maybe, YouTube, live streaming content, right? All of these things are content centric, okay? That's the next phase of what I believe to be the predominant niche for cryptoverse. And that is, we've gone from now, we've all familiar with DeFi, right? Decentralized finance, okay? We are now going to transition off of that success into decentralized content, okay? Think of it in terms of how can the blockchain be used for social media? How can the and what currency, okay, be more apt, token would be more apt to be used. We've seen it in Chili's, right, with sports and entertainment, okay, and how fans can buy the tokens to get greater access to information with their sports clubs in Europe, right? And Chili's is coming to the United States. Chili's is Coinbase Custody, and that's why you've seen this run up in Coinbase in the last 2 months, because they're going to put $50 million into the U.S. market, and they're going to grow here with expanded in the U.S. market, which they're really in. And, it's more or less a use case if you think about it for like, wait a second. You're on Instagram, you're a professional athlete, right, on a major team in the United States or a club in Europe or wherever. Imagine if you could tokenize your Instagram, tokenize your Facebook on social media, okay, where fans buy your token in order to get your tweet, your video content, your streaming content, your take on the game, all these things, right? That's the next evolution. It's content, decentralized content on the blockchain, and how efficient that can come, and who's going to get access to that. That's the next level of social media, right? Is everybody can have their own brand. And you can get different access to that brand based on the number of tokens that you have or if you've accumulated, right? So it's a critical aspect of where blockchain is moving. And if you look at Coinbase Custody, a lot of those projects are the ones going into Coinbase Custody that will end up on Coinbase Pro, thus Coinbase Effect. You see what happened to Engine. Engine went from like 250 to 350. Coinbase Effect, 30%, 40%, 50%. You're seeing these, and then they're settling back down. We've seen it with Storage. We've seen it with Anchor. We've seen it with CurveDAO. We've seen it with the March listings on Coinbase, where they pump 30 to 60%, and then within a week or two afterward, they fall back down to reasonable levels, and that's when you should be accumulating. And so it's important to understand that. And I'll get more in depth into that, in the future coming up in a really in-depth video. But what we want to talk about right now is something I'm ecstatic about, because I've never really understood all the hate, okay, on YouTube for Litecoin. I really haven't. Litecoin originated as kind of like the alternative, the original first alternative to Bitcoin, obviously, right? But if you look at like YouTube in the last few years, or in Twitter, there's a lot of hate for the Litecoin. And I've always been baffled by it, because I always felt like it's always been really the alternative that you would want to have in your back pocket if you had Bitcoin in your front pocket. And the reason is, look at where we've seen Bitcoin. Now, when Bitcoin was under like 5,000 and 10,000, it wasn't as much. They were closer aligned in terms of maybe market caps and valuations, depending on who you talk to, in terms of all that stuff, right? But as Bitcoin has expanded and grown exponentially from an institutional case, a use case, adoption, and acceptance cases, right? And we see Bitcoin get to 70,000, then 100,000. what's going to happen to the Bitcoin network? Okay. We've seen what's happening to the Ethereum network, and everybody's complaining about gas fees, right? Everybody's complaining about the congestion and how much it costs for transactional activity on the Ethereum network. A lot of that, I think, is overblown. A lot of that, I think, is to fill another narrative for other projects. That's just the way the market is. But there is validity to it. There is congestion, and the fees have gone up. I just don't. Transactional activity hasn't gone down, and it hasn't been impacted at all by the rising fees on the Ethereum network. That could change. But what about the Bitcoin network? It's less efficient, okay? And the whole point of Litecoin was to be able to mine it faster, easier, cheaper gear, right? Was the whole point was like, smaller blockchains, however you want to look at it, an alternative, right? And so Bitcoin's $100,000 in 6 months. What are the fees going to be like? Do we begin to see a transition back to a purely digital cash in a sense? And Litecoin's not the only one. But if Litecoin's fees are lower, if transactional activity is lower, right? Why are people not going to make that consideration? Why are people automatically going to make the consideration to use, say, Cardano instead of Ethereum, right? Like, we're using that assumption that everyone's going to jump to the Cardano now, because it's going to be cheaper. But what they're not telling you, for me, and I get beat up a lot and I get a lot of hate because I'm not a big Cardano person, because Cardano is the antithesis of what we were as a community 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Cardano has an opportunity to become like an alternative to decentralization, right? Because Cardano is going to be less secure than Ethereum, less scalable, in my opinion, than Ethereum. Its security, becomes an issue when you're trying to think about this. Like, we want to go faster, we want more transactions, right? So we want to limit the amount of things that have to actually take in place in that small amount of time in order for that transaction to take place, right? So we want to speed that up. And how do you speed that up? Well, it becomes less secure. Okay. And those are so it's like we're moving away now suddenly from really wanting a wholly decentralized, cryptoverse, decentralized blockchain, no centralization at all, where Cardano seems to me, okay, to be less decentralized. I don't understand why people want to move in that direction if they're truly supportive of what we want and meant originally with Bitcoin and Litecoin and cryptocurrency. So I think that Monero and Litecoin, Zcash, and some of these other ones provide a level of opportunity for people when Bitcoin continues to move higher. What if Bitcoin is 150, 200,000, right? What happens to the fees, the network, right? How expensive does that become? So I actually think that's why we're seeing what we're seeing in Litecoin. And again, anyone who's been part of my group knows I've been talking about Litecoin 4 months. This is not new. I'm not clickbaiting anybody talking about Litecoin now because Litecoin is 250, okay? Because Litecoin 2 weeks ago was 170. And I was talking about these moves that we break 220, we're going to 250, 260, okay? And 220 was a critical level on the on-chain metrics for Litecoin. And I believe, Litecoin is still undervalued. Simply if you believe Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000, what's going to happen to Litecoin? Right? Like, again, correlations. What was Litecoin's market dominance 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, with Bitcoin at its price then? Okay, what is Litecoin's market dominance today in a little over $2 trillion cryptocurrency market? Okay, it's about 0.82, 0.83. There was a time when Litecoin's market dominance was 3.5. So what happens when our market grows from 2 trillion to 3 trillion to 5 trillion to 7 trillion? Okay, if Litecoin maintains its current trajectory of 0.80 to 1.0 dominance in the entire cryptoverse or market cap for cryptocurrencies, what's its price level going to be? That's what makes Litecoin today undervalued. It's not today's ebb and flow of 2 days and 3 days ago and today. And that's leverage trading, which is great, you know, in terms of trading in those moves. But long term, okay, Litecoin easily gets above $300 here in the next month or so. Okay. As even if Bitcoin stays in that $58,000 to $65,000 range, we just saw Bitcoin reach an new all-time high. We just saw Ethereum crush through its previous all-time high, right? Litecoin hasn't gotten back to its all-time high. Okay. That's another, to me, bullish thing. You know, it's got to get back into the 300 level and move up to like 360 or so, which is doable. I mean, based on what we're seeing. I mean, slowly Litecoin has moved from under $100 to 250 really in the last year. Okay. And we've seen it go from 170 to 254, I think, just in the last 2 weeks. Why? Like what's changing in the market? Has Bitcoin changed? I mean, sure, Bitcoin tested 60,000 once or twice, but what's really changing? Fundamentally, there's a shift beginning to recognize that, okay, the on-chain metrics are telling us Bitcoin's going higher. The technicals are telling us Bitcoin's going higher. Where's that going to leave the other cryptocurrencies in the top 10 in terms of the overall market cap relationship and the market dominance? They're not going to stay flat, right? We all know that a lot of times we use Bitcoin dominance to be this, 100%, catch all, get all kind of evaluator for like altcoins. I'm not exactly sure if that's not everything in the Bitcoin dominance is accurate in the sense that there's a lot of Bitcoins out there that aren't tabulated in that dominance figure. Okay. Depending on where they're being held, right? Off exchanges and, cold and hard and wallets and all that stuff. I mean, we really don't know. Okay. So I'm not a big advocate of what's BTC.D if you're on TradingView Bitcoin dominance. It does come into play, of course, a lot of times because people use it and people use it as a guide for whether altcoins are going to go up or down based on that dominance factor. Because if altcoins are rising, it's the kind of like an inverse relationship, right? But I always look at that and I always look at, okay, but which altcoins are rising? And that's what you want to pay particular attention to when you're tracking the top 100 market cap altcoins. Which one of those are actually driving the market and moving the market in terms of that relationship? Because it's not all altcoins. I mean, it's just not. Like when we say altcoin season, not all altcoins are going up, and so you have to still do your own, due diligence in terms of that. But, depending on how you look at Litecoin today at 250 in a $2 trillion market cap cryptoverse, where will Litecoin be when we're, sitting in a 3 trillion market cap cryptoverse, 5 trillion, 8 trillion, right? I mean, this thing's continually growing, right? It's not just Bitcoin now because we have thousands of thousands of altcoins coming into the crypto market. And then we're going to expand. These institutions are obviously heavily invested in Bitcoin and now Ethereum and are now moving into altcoins slowly, but still, where will the market be in 2 and 3 years? And that's how you want to look at it in terms of how you want to perceive a Litecoin, in the future. And it's interesting that you're starting to see this shift on YouTube. Even Crypto RS George changed his complete outlook on Litecoin in the last 3-4 days. Now, I don't know if that's a product of Litecoin going to 250 and being in, just up 14% yesterday, or that's legitimate because he's been down on Litecoin, okay, for a year. And a lot of people on YouTube have. And those people that have been accumulating on the dips, Litecoin, consistently with this idea that, okay, I trust and faith in Bitcoin that Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000. What's its impact going to be on the rest of the cryptoverse? Who's going to benefit from that? Or who could benefit from that from a probability stake? Litecoin. Even though a lot of people are like, the silver coin, whatever, it's dead. Charlie Lee doesn't even own a lot of them anymore. Whatever the narrative is, okay, the reality is it's now $250. It's moving up considerably. It's breaking through its technicals. If you look at its ratio, and people still, solid people, credible people still look at Litecoin's relationship to the market as a good indicator as to what's happening in the entire crypto space. Some even use it more than Bitcoin for whatever reason. In tandem, kind of correlated with Bitcoin, obviously. And we talk about that a lot with correlated trading. If I believe Bitcoin is going up, if I'm entering a leverage trade and I'm going, okay, it like, we talked about for the last week or so, Bitcoin at 54, 55, 56, 57, we're looking at 60,000. We're looking at testing the all-time high, buying the dips, get in on leverage, 5 or 10x, lower leverage, lower cut loss. What you also should be correlating that trade with entries in Litecoin or another correlated Litecoin that's going to rise or is closer tied to the rise in Bitcoin, right? And we've seen that play out over and over. A lot of people talk about the Bitcoin Ethereum pair. I personally think they're less correlated than they used to be. But I don't know. It just feels that way to me because I've seen days where we just saw it the other day where Ethereum just shot up out of nowhere and Bitcoin stayed at 58,000. Didn't do anything. Okay. It was rather boring. I think somebody in our group was like, Bitcoin's boring today. And, she was right. It's pretty darn boring because there wasn't really much. The range was narrower. It was kind of like a low. I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was just lower volume that day. But Ethereum, so where's the money move? And again, where's the money going to move when it moves out of Bitcoin? Okay. When it moves out of Bitcoin at 70,000, 90,000, 120,000. When people start, where's it go? Does it go back to fiat or does it go back into Litecoin for it to hold? Does it go into Ethereum? Where does the money go? And so that's an interesting thing to consider. When you're looking at stacks and bags of creating a portfolio of cryptocurrency on the premise that you believe Bitcoin is going to rise. Now, if you're someone who look, I can't buy one Bitcoin when Bitcoin is $60,000. Most people can't, right? Most people are not going to buy one coin at a time of Bitcoin. But what they can do, if they believe that Bitcoin's going to 70, 80, 90, 100,000 in the next 3 to 6 months, they can buy those coins that are considerably cheaper, okay, that are under $100 or under $200, right, that have shown a direct correlation with the performance of Bitcoin over the last 2-3 years. And that's how you want to deep dive into what you're really looking at in your technicals and in your on-chain metrics of how you look at it and identify those that will provide an opportunity for investors, maybe provide a solution like Litecoin would in terms of usage and transactional activity if Bitcoin network gets congested or becomes too expensive, right? So there's fundamentally a bunch of opportunities there. But that's why I've been in my group have been totally say, listen, you've got to pay attention to Litecoin. You got to. It's available to you on your exchange. You watch and a lot, but there are a lot of people out there on YouTube, a lot of gurus, experts, self-identified experts, that are Bitcoin only, that all the other altcoins are crap, and they convince their people that follow them that they should only be in Bitcoin. And I'm an advocate that Bitcoin to me is the least attractive. Now, it's still going to go to 65 and 70,000 in the coming weeks. But for me, it's the least attractive. From a leverage trade profit perspective. Because again, if I can trade tandem trades and correlated trades in Litecoin and Ethereum, Ethereum is 2,000, 2,100, today, that's far less expensive than Bitcoin at 70,000. And the price movements that you need to move your needle for leverage, depending on what percentage you're at, right? You have to think about that. if you're talking about Litecoin going from 200 to 250 in less than a week, 50 basis point move as a percentage versus, say, Bitcoin going up 500 basis points or 1,000 basis points on a trading day. Like, you know, you're putting your money in, you're tying up your money in Bitcoin, right? And maybe you're leverage trading Bitcoin, but you're leverage trading a small amount of Bitcoin, right? So the capital amount is low, could be any, $100, couple $100, right? Versus one whole coin of Litecoin. Maybe you're on leverage 20%, 10%, 30%, right? And then you're leverage trading 5% Bitcoin because the volatility is so much more extreme in Bitcoin. You want to have a lower cut loss, so you're trading at 5 or 10x max, right? But at the end of the day, you get the move, right? You get that 700 point move, and you're like, I made 10%, 8 to 12% on my Bitcoin trade. But the other guy who did the exact same trade in Litecoin with the same exact move, okay, relative to Bitcoin, is up 20%, 25%, okay? And that, because obviously Bitcoin, Litecoin is $200 to $250 and Bitcoin is $60,000. So all those come into play. And when you tell people only trade Bitcoin, you're really denying them the real profit engines of leverage trading that can be generated from trading on leverage those coins that are highly correlated with Bitcoin or Ethereum. We see that in decentralized finance. Aave, Compound, Maker, highly correlated, okay? But they're all different, they're all valued differently, right? Because of their circulating supply, their market caps, but they're all valued. So you want to be able to look at all three, balance out, okay, they're all three going to move together in tandem. Typically they do. There are times when they don't. So when you pick your leverage trade, you want to do your calculations and your ratios and say, oh, so Aave is the better play. Because if we're going to see a rise in DeFi altcoins today of 4%, Aave is actually going to be the better move than, say, Maker at 2,500 or, Compound, or compared to the price of Aave at $375 to $400, Maker's 2,500, right? And so that's how you want to play that. And you want to do that by, using your calculators and using your tools to identify, okay, like, look, even though I'm looking at Bitcoin or I'm looking at Ethereum and I'm believing they're going to go higher based on this particular thing. It could be futures trading, right? Could be anything. CME coming up, could be options expiration, whatever that is. What are the 3 or 4 other altcoins that are going to react identical to Bitcoin and Ethereum? And that's where you want to open up your game and focus on, because while everybody's playing that Bitcoin move, right, you're playing another subtler play generating greater profit. And that's what I think Litecoin offers people. I know a lot of people don't like Litecoin. It's an historical thing that people have been on YouTube for a long time. I still consider digital cash to be undervalued. I still think, Litecoin to me is my number one in that area. I still think that Bitcoin is going to have a tougher road ahead. If you think congestion and network issues and all of those things are a factor, well, what happens when we reach 2030? Okay, 9 years from now, 2030, 2031, and there's no more Bitcoins being mined. Okay, well, what happens to that network exactly? Like, right? Like, what's really going to be the transactional activity on a network where there's no more supply? Obviously, those people holding the Bitcoin, at that level, at that time in the game, who knows what Bitcoin's going to be valued at? It's again, highly wanted, highly stored asset, like, right? Like gold, right? Like, in terms of people just keep gold and hold on to it, right? Maybe they're not going to put it in an exchange. Maybe they're not going to put it in circulation. Maybe they're going to put it, whatever the reason is. What does it do with the transactional activity and the network activity? Because we don't know. But I suspect people will have to gravitate to other means, right? Because of, by then, 9 years from now, there's a lot of other alternatives. And I still think we've gravitated away from a lot of those other, digital cash. I think we'll gravitate back as these networks, gas fees, and all of these things happen. Now, sure, there are solutions that are coming. There are bridges coming. You guys know that I'm a big advocate for Avalanche, which is like an Ethereum bridge to lower gas fees. I think that's incredible. At $30, I still think that's incredibly undervalued. I'm a big fan of Chainlink. I still think that's incredibly undervalued. At $30, this is my opinion, not financial advice for anyone. You do your own due diligence. Your cryptocurrency exposure is your risk and your risk alone. But that's just how I feel. And I try to look at these things and kind of like see a bigger picture. Where are we going to be at in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Where are we going to be at when all of the Bitcoin's completed all of its halvings, right? Where are we going to be at, right? And what's the market going to be like? We don't know what the regulation is going to be. We don't know any of that stuff. But we have to be able to use where we are now and where we project to be in the future. Now, leverage trading, totally different in terms of the mentality of you're playing that moves, within the day for day trading, for leverage trading during the day. I know in our group, we've kind of like come to a pass because of, we really want to get more altcoin exposure. We don't really have that on the BitSeven trading platform. So now we're starting to navigate to other exchanges. We're avoiding exchanges that have excessive amount of bot activity, that permit bots. Maybe the exchanges themselves have bots their own to basically liquidate individuals on the platform. A lot of these exchanges are not regulated. They are out of the country if you live in the U.S. So it's the wild, wild west. Okay, and you need to look for safer exchanges, not heavily bought. And I have so many people come into my group that have been on other exchanges that will message me and tell me their nightmare stories of how it always seems like it just got right to their cut loss area and boom, and then bounced right back up. Okay. Because there are bots that are searching 24 hours, 7 days a week to liquidate positions. They just are. Okay. And when anybody tells you that there's not, or that's not a reality, anyone who's experienced this understands that when it happens over and over, where it's just like you see it and you're like, wait, it just took me, liquidated me, and then bounced back 3-4 points, 5, 6, 8, 10 points every time. Okay. And so, you want to try, you have to have at least some level of trust in your exchange. Okay. So we have 100x exchange in Bex Plus for people in the Cryptoballer community. We've got Bityard now, which is 5x to 125x, depending on what asset you're trading. Bityard is also unique because Bityard actually gives you exposure to spot trading, as well as leveraged perpetual contract trading, as well as Forex trading. So it's kind of like does a lot of different things. Learning curve a little bit more. BitSeven's pretty much your easy get up and going in a day. Bityard's got a lot of other moving parts, a lot of other components, but it's got some great tutorials. In that regard, will allow you to trade a lot of these altcoins that we talk about in our group that are also everywhere, that are on YouTube. And so you want to take a look at that. And now not all of those will be available on leverage or perpetual contracts that may be available on spot trading, but at least it gives you an opportunity on Bityard to accumulate 1 inch, to accumulate, other coin, Filecoin, other altcoins that you'd have to go to another kind of smaller exchange, or use Binance. But Binance has got Binance US and Binance it just gets ridiculous. It'll allow you to get, to spot trade there, which is, but it may not offer it. They keep adding more to be able to do leverage trading on, still a considerable amount. I think there's like 25 or 30 or more on Bityard now. So, a few of us have used it to gain some functionality experience, that have predominantly been using BitSeven or Bex Plus. And you'll kind of see that. So you'll kind of see a lot more things in our group now, a lot more text channels were loaded up over the weekend for Bityard, for Bex Plus, and for CEX, IO, another one, CEXIO, obviously offers all of these too, a lot of the main ones like Litecoin, to get in on, but also has like a Visa card, has a lot of other function. Staking has some other functionality, some decentralized finance functionality. It was just rated like one of the 3 safest exchanges in the world. There are others, AAX, there are others in London, there are others that you can use. But if anyone has any questions about a particular exchange before they deposit their money on, you can shoot me a message in the Discord or an email. It'll be in the description for email. Whether you're a member of the group, I'll give you my take on, the exchange, what experiences I may have or others may have regarding that. But that's kind of like where we are. Sunday, we want to look at today, Sunday now around 1:30. Looks like the race is back on, and we want to look at the last 4-hour and 12-hour candles of Sunday. We want to set up our Monday, okay, based on what happens with Bitcoin and Ethereum. What their end of weekend, plus you have your end of week candle. So you're going to have your daily to look at tonight before Monday. You're going to have your weekly candle. You're going to check the RSI levels of the weekly. You're going to check the pi cycle for Bitcoin at the end of the week. This is fundamentally where it happens, right? Is do your research Sunday night to set your weekend up. Your week up, okay? Especially Monday, 6 a.m. to 9:30, 9:45 a.m. U.S. time, always a critical driver in the market for Bitcoin, because it factors in everything that happened over the weekend when these guys weren't trading. They come back to the desk. It's time to get rolling, and this is where Bitcoin's at. They got to either rebalance, or that's why you see a lot of moves, okay, depending on what happened today in Bitcoin or over the weekend. And then plus you also have the overnight, okay? So you have the overnight markets doing their thing as well while the U.S. sleeps. So it's critical that you look and you do your setup and set your zone up, so tomorrow and Monday, this is my zone, okay? This is my support, this is my resistance on the daily, on the macro chart, and then you can dive right into your 5-minute and your 1-minute, kind of like in terms of where you're trading, if you're day trading, and just swing trading, scalping, whatever you're doing. But you want to set your zone up first, okay? From your weekly candle, your daily candle, your 4-hour, your 12-hour, look for bull flags, look for your triangular formations, extending or in a rising wedge, identify your pattern set going into Monday, because that is what is going to be, from a technical standpoint, a driver of a breakout, right? And you want to be aware of that. So when you, or grab your phone or hop on your laptop, your Chromebook, your desktop, and you see a big move happening in Ethereum or Bitcoin, that you already psychologically know, okay, it's broken out. It's breaking resistance out. So now we're getting a bullish move to the upside. And then you know how to evaluate your positions, especially if you were in a 5, 10x 240 method position. You want to watch that, and you want to know, you have 2 options. I see this far too many, I haven't really got a chance to get back yet this weekend to a few individuals in our group, but I see traders buying long at these tops far too often. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be buying. You want to be able to already be in that trade, watching it move through that all-time high level and going beyond. Buying at the all-time high level, oftentimes you have to be in to scalp that trade, because oftentimes it may go up. Say the all-time high is 61,400. You buy in, you've seen the move, right, from 60,000 to 61, 350, 370, and you buy in on your leverage trade just below the all-time high. It breaks the all-time high, then it gets a little bit of FOMO, right? And you're holding on because you expect it to go higher and higher and higher and higher now with the FOMO coming into the market. And then all of a sudden, you get a deep red candle down of 400 points. Happens a lot, okay? Of, big move down, sequential reds, boom, 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 boom. And you're back around what your entry was, okay? Instead, you want to have entered that trade 300 points earlier. So then when it gets to that all-time high, breaks that 61,400, that's just, I'm making that number up, but 61,400, when it gets to 61,500 and you see that red, you then can get out. and then let her do her thing that she's going to do. Don't buying in long. Then you're waiting around for days and days and days at a time for Bitcoin to go back to 59,000, then come back to 61. Okay. And that's not what you want to do. That's not being a proactive, you want to be able, you want to get ahead of these things. You don't want to be chasing these things. That's not how you will get wrecked like BitBoy. Okay. You will get wrecked if you keep chasing 60,000, 61,000. You want to buy the dip at a 5x or 10x leverage trade at 57 or 58, let it run above 60,000, make your determination if you want to exit that trade or not. Okay. And, don't worry. Remember, don't concentrate so much on, well, I missed out on $200 or I lost $200. I lost $300, $400, $500. You didn't lose anything. You got in at 57. It's currently at 61. And you got out. You got out in profit. You didn't lose anything. So the mentality shouldn't be like, oh, but then it went up 300 more points. Okay. But you didn't lose anything. Okay. You still profited in your trade. All right. And that's what you want to look at is you want to concentrate on profits, not what you could have had or should have had, or if you'd have done this or done that, or use this leverage or that leverage. Yeah. You want to learn from that. But, look at these people with Litecoin now. Like I'm telling you right now, I've been talking about Litecoin now for months. It's going to, and I've been setting levels, and people just been like looking at me and being like, just dismissing what I've been saying in Litecoin. And now Litecoin is $250. Okay. Up almost 100 basis points. Right. Really in the last 54,000 to 61,000 push for Bitcoin. So you have to think about that. No, it's not happening today, but you want to have a bigger, especially if you're on your exchange, you can keep your open trades open for a considerable amount of time. Have a little bit more vision of where you're going to be in 7 to 10 days, not where you are right now in those trades, right? And that's important. And if you've done that in Litecoin, like people in Cryptoballers, Crypto Leverage Trading Group, they're up thousands and thousands of dollars on Litecoin. And they're up a couple $100 or so in their Bitcoin trades because they put more money into the Litecoin trade because was only valued at $200. Okay. Versus Bitcoin was 58,000. So in terms of throwing $1,000 into Bitcoin versus throwing $1,000 into Litecoin, see the difference? The difference is massive. And then when you 20x that $1,000, okay, on leverage, so it works out for you. And it's important. So, what I tell people is boom, you can make those altcoin trades, right? Litecoin, Ethereum, right? EOS, XRP now. XRP is freaking blowing up. It was $1.40, I think. XRP now is more than Cardano. Again, wait, what? What just happened in 24 hours, right? Cardano's not moving. It's still $1.20, $1.20. And everyone hyped Cardano, that Cardano was going to explode, but look at XRP. XRP had its hearing last week, pretty much like I said in the video. If you caught the video the days before, there's no appetite in Washington, D.C. to punish XRP or cryptocurrency with the Biden administration. There is no appetite. And that's when I said when XRP was at 56, 57 cents, it's going to break above 60 cents. It's going to 90 cents. It's going to break $1 and boom. Okay. Meanwhile, Cardano, right? Again. So it's all on where you're getting that information from, how you're discerning that information, who's right. And at times this guy's going to be right. At times this guy's going to be right. It's just a matter of timing and all of that stuff. But when you have these things aligned, like you did with XRP last week, okay, it's a huge community. If you look at those communities, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Chainlink, these are huge. Polkadot, these are huge communities, okay, of people that are behind these things, all out there that are all buyers, okay, of these coins. And so boom, people are going to jump back into XRP, okay? And so we'll see what happens going forward. But that's really all I got. I just want to give everybody an update. Been on about 44 minutes or so. This is pretty long for me, actually. But again, I hope you'll like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I hope that you will follow us on Twitter now at CryptoballersX. Join our free trading community Discord. It's 100% free. That link will be in the description. Start your beginner leverage trading journey. There are plenty of people that will help you out and mentor you, including myself. I'm fully willing to do whatever it takes, to help someone understand and change their personal dynamic in terms of crypto and how crypto can be, one of the tools in your in your toolbox, especially leverage, to change your financial dynamic, because it can do that, and it can do that overnight. A lot more than the stock market these days. That's just the truth. That's the reality. So it's all about familiarity. It's all about getting trust. It's all about where you get trust, where you get your information from. And again, I can't say this enough to people. Ask yourself why you would want to give money, spend your hard-earned money, give money to someone you've never seen, or you've never met, or you've never talked to, you've never had a Zoom call with, or a trading session with, face-to-face. If you cannot put a face to a person on YouTube that is giving you the information, you have to be very, very cautious. If that person's not willing to put their face out there and say, hey, look, this is where I stand. This is what I believe. This is what I think, right or wrong. I could be wrong. Be humble about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, again, none of it's financial advice for all. We're all content providers in terms of YouTube. But if they're not willing to provide you their face, right, in terms of that one-on-one connection with you, you should not be following that person, okay, with your money. Like, you can follow them on YouTube, if you're just getting information. But if someone's asking you for money, asking you to join these projects, and you're getting these random things in your Discord for like pump and dump things, and you're getting, like projects, jump in on this project for crypto, but you don't know who they are, like, why would you do that? Like, you know what I mean? Would you send money to somebody in some foreign country somewhere that you've never met? Like, just Western Union, you old school, send Western Union to someone that you've never talked to, you've never met, but they're trying to sell you something on eBay? No, you wouldn't. And if you did, you pretty much got hosed, right? A lot of people did back in the early days of eBay, right? Before eBay ended up buying PayPal and creating their own, like, transactional network, right? That's going to the blockchain, by the way. So just use that advice, okay? Like, if you can't get them on the phone, they haven't given you their text number, their phone number, their like email address, interact with you on a Zoom call, a live call, where you're like, that's a person, not a robot, not a bot, not a scammer, not someone trying to sign me up to their MLM marketing opportunity or affiliate, whatever. And, some of those are legit, okay? But I can tell you, if you don't know who they are, if you can't identify them on the street, they're not legit, okay? Every legit person that I know that's an affiliate marketer, that I know that is in my space for cryptocurrency, is an educator in blockchain technology or leverage trading courses, marketing, network marketing, whatever. Every single one of them that I know that's legit, I know who they are. I know what they look like. I know who they are, right? It's amazing to me how many people will put money in things on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, without having a face to whoever it is behind it, or not even knowing who's behind it, or who's the founder, or who the originator is of the project, or whatever. They're just going on something that they heard blind on YouTube. Do not do that, okay? Just don't. You're going to lose out. You know the old adage, if something's too good to be true, it usually is, right? Well, that's on steroids, okay, in regard to cryptocurrency fraud, okay, and MLM fraud. And if people here's a prime example. If people like Quibitech are rebranding, ask yourself why they're rebranding. They're rebranding because the government regulators and everybody has gotten caught on to the scam, okay? And now they're going to rebrand and retool, just like all the ICO scammers did. And a lot of them are the same people. They're now going to repackage it as Quibit Life or whatever it is. It's still banned in countries all over the world. It's still a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. And yeah, You could get some payouts in the beginning, but then what were you going to do? You're going to buy more, right? You're going to put more of your money because you've gotten money. And then at the end of the day, like every other Ponzi scheme, you're left holding the bag. That's not going to happen to you with Bitcoin. It's not going to happen to you with Litecoin. It's not going to happen to you with Ethereum. Okay. Cryptocurrency is legitimate. And how you know it's legitimate now is you have multi-level marketing scammers moving into the cryptocurrency space to take advantage of those in the cryptoverse. And it's a shame. And they're going to ruin the community because then people won't trust cryptocurrency. And the reason why the government is going to be able to say to the public that cryptocurrency is heavily engaged in corruption and money laundering and illicit, illegal practices is because of things like Quibitech, Quibit Life, okay, Ribbon Coin, okay, Davor, BitConnect. All of these things are all scams, okay, that will take your money with a smile on their face because you don't know who they are. You don't have an address. You don't have a legitimate email. You have no information to go to law enforcement. You can file a complaint. They're ghosts. Don't. That's my advice. Don't. Okay? That's where we're at. Again, hope everybody likes to subscribe to the channel. Come join our free trading community. Got any questions about anything, hit us up. We'll take care of you. I want to thank everybody. We're up over 300 subscribers here in rather quick pace on YouTube, which is great. Never really even thought we'd get above that. We are definitely the smallest cryptocurrency altcoin leverage trading channel in the entire cryptoverse, and actually proud of that fact. Okay. And I hope you found this informative. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. See y'all. Have a happy trading Sunday, and touch base tomorrow. All right. We'll see you.